Hello all, today I'll be taking a look at 10 economic games for relatively new gamers. So maybe you've played something like Ticket to Ride, Carcassonne, a bit of King of Tokyo, and now you're like, I need something more economic in my life. Well, you're in the right place. Also, I think this list may come in handy if you're an established gamer just needing some gaming suggestions that are just a little bit more accommodating for new players, while satisfying that economic itch you might have. Sometimes plonking down Food Chain Magnet on the table doesn't always get the reaction you were hoping for. Now, very important to know, I am not saying that these are the very best economic games ever, but in terms of being engaging, introducing various mechanics in the genre, and are just generally a bit more fun and accommodating to those newer players, absolutely. I've also stayed clear of number crunching games as to not to frighten away the average civilian. But I'll check in a few honourable mentions at the end of this video if that's your sort of cup of tea. Okay, let's get cracking then. At number 10, we have a game that is finally back in print, The Rich and the Good, one of my absolute favourite stock market games. Now, it's further down the list because, well, it doesn't look the most appealing to your average person, but don't be fooled, the twists and turns and the structure of gameplay are excellent. It is most certainly one of the more streamlined stock market games out there, and it builds such a great gaming atmosphere around the table with very little. Now, there's the usual buying and selling shares, but there's a twist. You have to donate shares to charity secretly, and at the end of the game, whoever donated their least is out. They're gone, even if they did make the most profits, which I really enjoy. And as well, you have this clever shared information around the table, with players seeing some information with your neighbour, but not the opposing player's information, which is interesting. So it's well worth having a look at this one if you like your stock and share type games. At number 9 then, you have a chance to run your nation in the game Prosperity. Now this one looks a bit more involved than it actually is, but I'm here to tell you it's pretty straightforward and gives you a pleasure and a satisfaction of building up your nation. You'll build infrastructure which gets you better stuff through the decades, and you'll be balancing your ecology versus your energy. Now actions include taking money, you've got buying these tiles, researching, you've got removing pollution, and that's pretty much it. Now the fun is which tiles to take, as this one affects my finances and this one gives me maybe more pollution. Are you going to go for that new highway or a new power station or maybe even electric cars? So it's a very nice underrated game, this one, that does a super job of putting you in the hot seat as you run your country. It also plays well with 2 in about that 60 to 90 minute mark. Next up, we have the auction game to trump all auction games, a classic, and this is Modern Art. Now, there are a bunch of versions out there, and I cannot vouch for them all. I'm assuming they're all pretty much the same game, but this is the one I have, and I've had a blast of it. So what are we doing then? You're buying and selling paintings from a bunch of different artists, and once again, you're making those profits. Now, what I think worked great in this one are those different types of auctions that you can trigger. You've got fixed price ones, you've got one-time bids, closed bids, open bids, which all really keep you on your toes as you're constantly trying to calculate how much a painting is worth and what prices you will fetch for it. So then, you've got a hand of paintings. You're trying to sell them at the right time to get the most from your opponents. And this is dependent on how well certain colours, which are the artists, are performing and their perceived value. And if that artist is popular, their paintings will go up in value. Now, there's some really great interaction amongst the players in this one around this cool theme that really works well. I adore the timing aspect as you squeak out a nice profit and then manipulate the market to maybe devalue that same art. So it's very clever. Now, there's a good player range on this one and it plays really quickly as well. At number 7, a game with a seaside setting as we build our wealth and prestige in the game Cape May. So you'll be traversing these streets utilising this hand of cards efficiently and then reclaiming them as an action similar to that of Concordia for those familiar with that one. So you're building residential, maybe commercial properties, a cottage or a shop, and then you're developing these into bigger homes worth more prestige or big business which is going to give you more income. Maybe you'll even do a spot of bird watching in this one and collect some points. Now there's events from season to season, you're getting income and there's a rinse and repeat type vibe here, but it's a nice, smooth, enjoyable flow to it and a real delight for me and a superb production that's easy to grasp and a pleasure to have displayed on the table. Okay, on to number 6. We have moved away from the sunny seaside town of Cape May to now expanding our airlines across Europe in the game. That's right, Airlines Europe. We'll be hoping to see our investments pay off as we expand across these various city locations, increasing the size of your portfolio of shares and timing things just right to maximise your points when those sneaky scoring cards appear. You are literally so wetting it every turn, wondering if this is the moment that that scoring card is going to come out. You need to build more routes. I need to play those stocks out of my hand into my portfolio. I need dividends and not forgetting those special airline abacus shares that you need to acquire to keep up with the Joneses. Or do I just go and grab some money? So it's a real gem, this game. It looks great on the table, offers some lovely decision making and is similar gameplay to something like Ticket to Ride, which was made by the same designer, but there's just more economic fun to be had here without doubt. Now there is another game I probably prefer over this one, just by a smidge, and that is Jet Set, but it wins no awards for how it looks, so I went with this one instead, just in case you wanted to go and have a look at that one as well. Next up then, we have a real quick playing stock market game based on vegetables. Yes, that's right, vegetables, and the game is called Vegetable Stock. Now you'll be picking up a card with these veggies on, and whichever card remains will impact the various stocks. You will collect a host of these vegetables and aim for the most profitable ones, hoping they don't crash and you have to start over. It's 6 rounds and you're trying to have the most valuable portfolio of these harvested vegetables compared to the market values at the end. And that is pretty much the game. It's super quick to play, easy to learn, has a great player count of 2 to 6. It's interactive, it's got this nice speculative vibe, it's colourful with this inviting art style. It's a must to be played. At number 4 then, we have a classic. This one is Chinatown, a game that sees us negotiating like there is no tomorrow. You'll be trying to get these plots of land and various business tiles ranging from laundries to florists, just to name a few of them there, as you then set up these businesses and get income. Now as you acquire bigger businesses and expand to generate those profits, you are hoping to attain the win with the most money there. Now a warning, there is a lot of negotiation in this sort of game. It's interactive and can be a lot of fun with the right group. If you're not a fan of wheeling and dealing, then maybe you should move on to the next game here. But games I have played of this, with some friendly coaxing from myself, have been an absolute delight. I've watched new gamers come to life as they get excited over the ownership of something as trivial as a florist tile, and when they manage to get those plots of land that match up, it's all good. Now there is a bit of luck in this one as to what plots and tiles are distributed, but generally it all evens out. It's a joy to play, and there's a re-implementation of this game as well out there which you maybe want to go and have a look at, and it's called Waterfall Park, which has a fun theme, but I've yet to try that version. Okay then, we're getting getting down to business, the top 3. So we have a very popular bidding game up next called For Sale. You'll be trying to attain various properties displayed on the table as everyone is bidding. If you pass, then you get the lowest value property. Are you going to end up with that cardboard box, or do you try and hold out for the luxury apartment, or maybe even the space station or Grand Castle? So the first phase is about acquiring property, and then the second phase is about shifting these properties for these checks, which are all laid out on the table. You'll add those checks you've acquired to any remaining cash, and you see who the winner is. Now it's quick, it's fun. I love the 2 phases, and it's got this quirky, varied properties and art style, and it's all about playing your opponents and staring them in the eyes, trying to figure out who is going to give up first. It's a great game, this one, that I would highly recommend, with such a nice table presence as well. At number 2 then, we have Big Money, which sees us trying to amass our fortunes and become zillionaires. You'll be rolling some dice, making the best outcomes with a couple of re-rolls as well. You'll get your income, and then any bonuses from those sort of previous investments you've made. You'll get to spend that money on the businesses in play, or maybe even some share deals that are out there. Now watch out for those biz news events, and you'll be trying to break the bank for the win here. Now will you go for the movie studios, maybe a soccer team or a candy factory? It's just so many quirky little businesses, and it's a lot of madness, but it somehow manages to engage everyone as you're battling to try and make those investments pay off here. Now there is luck involved, but it's a joy to watch the story unfold between players, and remember those crazy moments that the stocks all crashed or you made your fortune. So it just offers that really nice transition from the mass market games into the hobby, I feel, and has a good player range, and it just looks great on the table as well as you try and become a zillionaire. So we're down to the final game, the game I have the most joy introducing to new gamers. It never fails to raise a smile, this one, and it's always a delight, and the game is Happy Pigs. What a unique and cute little game this one is. The pigs are adorable, their gameplay is very clever, and certainly satisfies my economic itch here. So the game is all about taking the role of a pig farmer. That's right, a pig farmer. You'll be raising these piglets, you'll be feeding them, making sure they're vaccinated. You'll get bigger pigs, which you'll be mating. You'll be able to buy resources, you'll get new fields, and you'll sell these pigs eventually at the market as you try to make the most money for the win. Now there's a host of events in here as well, with pig shows, as you're trying to outperform others to get payouts and better opportunities, maybe get some vaccines for free. Now the heart of this game focuses around the interaction and second guessing of what your opponents are doing as they pick their action and you pick yours. Now the more people who take the same action, then the less reward there is. But if you manage to be the only one who chose a certain action, then you get rewarded handsomely for that. Now it's a really nice mechanic, this, and it is very approachable for those who maybe don't want to think too hard, but it's super for those who do want to think too hard as well. Now you can do reasonably well in this game just plodding along, and that's why I like it. It's accommodating to new players. It's got this engrossing theme, and I like the seasons as well. I like how you look after these pigs and you see them grow and you manage your land. There's some core economic aspects in here hidden below all that cuteness. Now it plays in about an hour, and it's always a pleasure to get this one out onto the table. So there we have it. Now I did say I would have a few honourable mentions, and first one I have then is the whole Cube Rails family of games, with a host of titles that pretty much see you developing train networks, you're getting shares, you're paying dividends, and just having a jolly time causing a load of havoc. Now these are great games, I love a load of them, but I stay clear of them in this list due to the cutthroat nature of some of them. Others are less so, but there's just so many, it'd be difficult just to pick one for this list. But if you just type in something like Winsome Games or Iron Rail series, you will find them easy enough. Next then, some of my faves including Acquire, we've got Shark, Big Boss, Power Grid, games like QE, we've got Mogul, Furnace, and another one called Manager. Literally just to name a few there. But again, most of these have a lot of money, back and forth, there's engines to run, but they're all great options if you want something just a little bit meatier in your game with those sort of finances and money handling there. Now, I'm sure you guys will have many suggestions for me, as I've obviously not played everything, but please feel free to list your suggestions in the comments for others to enjoy, and I thank you all for watching. Bye for now.